everyone. It's Naomi. Hi, everyone. It's Naomi Wolf. And as promised, I am reading from Geneva Bible. I told you I would see you again in a day because we're getting such momentum. And indeed, here I am a day later. And we're going now from chapter 29 in Exodus in the Geneva Bible, the Founders Bible, the Puritans Bible, Thomas Jefferson's Bible, Shakespeare's Bible. We're going from the chapter 29 that we read yesterday, which was all about how the priests, Aaron and his sons, should dress, their ritual garments, the gold bells, in approaching it's translated as ministry, but in Hebrew it's the service, in the Mishkan, translated as Ark of the Covenant in later translations, but in the Hebrew it's the presence, the sacred presence, and the really interesting comparison that emerged yesterday, rather shocking, I must say, not trying to judge anybody or any religion, is that throughout the RSV translation of that passage, the words for making holy, which is a very standard kind of Old Testament Jewish thing, it's still a Jewish thing, that ordinary people are supposed to do or taught to do with ordinary things like eating bread or drinking wine or, getting married or even, bodily processes, right? You make things holy, you make them holy, you sanctify them, mekadesh. Well, there's a lot of mekadeshing of the Aaron and his sons, the first priests in the Judeo-Christian tradition, in the original, and the RSV translates it throughout as ordination, and it's not ordination. It just isn't. It doesn't have anything to do with ordination in the modern sense of ordination. And the reason I call that to your attention again is that when you ordain someone, they're ordained and then they're kind of in an elevated status forever, priests or ministers and so on. Ordination is really more of a Christian term. Maybe rabbis are ordained as well. Maybe it's a Judeo-Christian term now. But in the Jewish tradition and certainly in the Old Testament, it's mekadesh, it's sanctifying. And, you mekadesh your hands when you say a blessing over your hands when you're washing them. I mean, I stress this because in the Hebrew, the priests aren't better than anyone else. They're human beings in a state of humanity, which is flawed, right? This is clear from the beginning. I wouldn't say fallen, but flawed. And they have to continually lekadesh themselves, right, through these various rituals to be holified enough, holy-ized enough to approach the, completely holy presence of God. And that's a big change. And the other big change that I'm going to just remind you all about is that the description in chapter 29 of the food they were eating, the meat that they were sacrificing and boiling and then burning, the bread, both leavened and unleavened, I believe, mixed with oil and also unleavened, that they were preparing for the priests and for Yahweh, as a kind of feast. That is in the Hebrew an offering from the peace offerings of the children of Israel. The portion to the priest is an offering, whereas in the Revised Standard Version, it is the priest's due, D-U-E, his due. And that is a big difference. And I think that you should be aware of it because it's not in the original. It just isn't. The priest's portion is how RSV translates that, and that it's due to the priests from the children of Israel, not in the original. All right. And you can, you think of that what you will. It's, as I've said before, not trying to be mean or critical or judgmental. It's human nature that when a religion becomes elaborated, authority is assigned or arrogated to people who are the gatekeepers of the religion. But I will say over and over, and I don't think it's disrespectful. In the original, there is not this role of gatekeeper. There is a role of someone who is of service, and actually a whole family, Aaron and his sons, the Kohanim. They are definitely serving, and that's the word. Shirut is service. It's not ministry, right? In the Christian sense, they are serving God in this very special ritualistic role, but they're not better than anyone else. All right, let's go to chapter 30, and no disrespect, right? I'm just trying to stick to the original language. All right, chapter 30 of the Geneva Bible. The subheadline says, the altar of incense, the sum that the Israelites should pay to the tabernacle, the brazen laver, which is a washing basin from lavage in French, right? The anointing oil, the making of the perfume. So this is very lovely. Furthermore, and this is God speaking to Moshe, furthermore, you will make an altar for sweet perfume of shittim wood, which is acacia wood. You shall make it. The length thereof a cubit, and the breadth thereof a cubit. It shall be 4 square. And the note says, upon this, the sweet perfume was burnt. And the height thereof 2 cubits. The horns thereof shall be of the same. And you shall overlay it with fine gold, both the top thereof and the sides thereof round about, and his horns. Also, you shall make unto it a crown of gold round about. And the note says, or a circle border. And then there's a lovely illustration. It says, this altar was 1 cubit long and 1 cubit broad, and in height was 2 cubits. The rest may be understood by the former figures. And I just love how literally these authors, take this. There you can see the dimensions of what is being created there. Besides this, you shall make under this crown 2 golden rings on either side. Even on every side shall you make them, that they may be as places for the bars to bear it withal. The bars you shall make of shittim wood, acacia wood, and you shall cover them with gold. After you shall set it before the veil that is near the ark of testimony, before the mercy seat that is upon the testimony, where I will appoint with you. And that means meet with you. And the note says, that is in the sanctuary and not in the holiest of all. And Aaron shall burn thereon sweet incense every morning. When he dresses the lamps thereof, shall he burn it. And the note says, meaning when he trims them and refreshes the oil. Likewise, at evening, when Aaron sets up the lamps thereof, he shall burn incense. This perfume shall be perpetually before the Lord throughout your generations. Ye shall offer no strange incense thereon, nor burnt sacrifice, nor offering, neither pour any drink offering thereon. And the note says, otherwise made them this which is described. And the note says, but it must only serve to burn perfume. So they're being very specific. This is just for burning perfume. And Aaron shall make reconciliation upon the horns of it once in a year with the blood of the sin offering in the day of reconciliation. Once in the year shall he make reconciliation upon it throughout your generations. This is most holy unto the Lord. Afterward, the Lord spake unto Moshe, saying, when you take the sum of the children of Israel after their number, then they shall give every man a redemption of his life unto the Lord, when you tell them that there be no plague among them when you count them. And this is a kind of census. And the note says, whereby he testified he redeemed his life, which he had forfeit, as is declared by David. This shall every man give that goes into the number, half a shekel, after the shekel of the sanctuary, A shekel is 20 gerahs, and this is a unit of money. The half shekel shall be an offering to the Lord. All that are numbered from 20-year-old and above shall give an offering to the Lord. The rich shall not pass, and the poor shall not diminish from half a shekel, when you shall give an offering unto the Lord for the redemption of your lives. And the note says that God should be merciful unto you. So that you shall take the money of the redemption of the children of Israel and shall put it unto the use of the tabernacle of the congregation, that it may be a memorial unto the children of Israel before the Lord for the redemption of your lives. And there is an illustration here of the laver, the thing, the ritual washing or incense burning. I'm not yet sure which it is. The note says the foundation or foot of the laver, and the note says the laver, because Moses describes not the manner of this laver. This figure is made after the fashion of Solomon's, which seems to be most agreeable to this king. Save instead of wheels are put bars to bear it, as in the other figures also appears. So they're being very transparent that they don't know exactly what the laver looks like, because there really isn't a detailed description here. So they're taking a description from Solomon and saying it probably looks like this. All right. Also, the Lord spoke unto Moses, saying, you shall also make a laver of brass, and his foot of brass to wash, and shall put it between the tabernacle of the congregation and the altar, and shall put water therein. And I can't remind you enough, everyone is in the tent of meeting. Everyone gets to meet with God. It's not a holy of holies that only the priest gets to go into, although certainly that kind of curtained off part is where only the priest and the presence of Yahweh connect with each other. But everyone in the congregation is in the outer part of the tent of meeting. For Aaron and his sons shall wash their hands and feet thereat. And the note says, signifying that he comes to God, must be washed from all sin and corruption. When they go into the tabernacle of the congregation, and tabernacle just means tent, or when they go unto the altar to minister and to make the perfume of the burnt offering to the Lord, they shall wash themselves with water, lest they die. And I am telling you, pay attention to this passage, because this is a mistranslation already. It's not lest. So they shall wash their hands and their feet, that they die not. And this shall be to them an ordinance forever, both unto him and to his seed throughout their generations. Also, the Lord spoke unto Moses, saying, take you also unto you principal spices of the most pure, myrrh 500 shekels, of sweet cinnamon half so much, that is 250, and of sweet calamus 250. Also of cassia 500, after the shekel of the sanctuary, and of oil olive an hin, which is a measurement. Hey everyone, it's Naomi Wolf. We are excited about our new sponsor, Native Path. Native Path's collagen formula is scientifically backed to increase bone mineral density, accelerate tissue recovery, reduce wrinkles, enhance hair thickness, and strengthen weak or damaged nails. Who wouldn't want more collagen with these benefits? So you can get an incredible 45% off today, plus free shipping. Every order comes with a 365-day money-back guarantee, so you can try it risk-free, and you really, really should. Are you interested in moving easily and independently without pain or stiffness? Do you want to look in the mirror and see a glow rather than fine lines and wrinkles? So you really need to find out about Native Path Collagen, made only with type 1 and type 3 collagen fibers, the two most important types that make up 90% of the collagen in your body. It is completely flavorless and can be added to anything. Coffee, I add it to smoothies. You can add it to oatmeal, and it makes it bioavailable, so it's absorbed more easily and mixes perfectly. They're It's kind of an amazing product. Honestly, I just started using it a few days ago. No fillers, no additives, no artificial sweeteners, and they third-party test for heavy metals. What is kind of amazing is that it really does. It makes me want to work out, which never happens. It has made me feel much more energetic, and it's I do struggle with the spinal issue, and I honestly have felt much more kind of buoyant and resilient since I began mixing native path collagen into my smoothie every day. So I can't praise this enough. I love it. There are 4 million jars sold, 1 million happy customers, 8,000 5-star reviews, and a no risk guarantee. That's the kind of product that we at Daily Clout and at Outspoken and now at the Geneva Bible love to recommend a product that's tried and tested. I simply cannot recommend it enough. So go to getnativepath.com // daily clout. That's getnativepath.com / daily clout, and stock up. You will find it transformational. I have. And thank you so much, Native Path, for being our new sponsor. And thank you for supporting our wonderful sponsor, Native Path. And the note said, it is a kind of reed of a very sweet savor within and is used in powders and overs, calamus root. And Walt Whitman referred to the calamus plant. It's a water plant. And I did not know that it had a sweet savor. Now I do. So you shall make of it the oil of holy ointment, even a most precious ointment, after the art of the apothecary. This shall be the oil of holy ointment. And you shall anoint the tabernacle of the congregation therewith, and the ark of the testimonies. And the note says, all things which appertain to the tabernacle. Also the table. Remember, there's a beautiful golden table that the bread is resting on, and all the instruments thereof, and the candlestick with all the instruments thereof, and the altar of incense. Also the altar of burnt offering with all his instruments, and the laver and his foot, meaning the foot of the laver that it stands on. So you shall sanctify them, and they shall be most holy. All that shall touch them shall be holy. You shall also anoint Aaron and his sons, and shall consecrate them, that they may minister unto me in the priest's office. Moreover, you shall speak unto the children of Israel, saying, this shall be an holy ointing oil unto me throughout your generations. And I believe that means anointing oil. None shall anoint man's flesh therewith, neither shall you make any composition like unto it, for it is holy and shall be holy unto you. And the note says, neither at their burials nor otherwise. Whosoever shall make the like ointment, an ointment like it, or whosoever shall put any of it upon a stranger, even he shall be cut off from his people. And the Lord said unto Moshe, take unto you these spices, pure myrrh and clear gum and galbanum, these odors with pure frankincense, of each like weight. Then you shall make of them perfume composed after the art of the apothecary, mingled together, pure and holy. And you shall beat it to powder, and shall put it before the ark of the testimony in the tabernacle of the congregation, where I will make appointment with you. It shall be unto you most holy. And you shall not make unto you any composition like this perfume which you shall make. It shall be unto you holy for the Lord. Whosoever shall make like unto that to smell thereto, even he shall be cut off from his people. So don't, imitate this composition of delicious smelling substances, the gum, which I believe is gum Arabic, it's called now, the myrrh, the cinnamon, the calamus, the other delicious ingredients of these actual two formulas, it sounds like, of scent, of perfume that is going to be part of the anointing oil, right? This is sacred. You have to treat it as separate. And again, this is a very Jewish thing, the idea of keeping holy things separate, the idea of separating a Yom Chol, which means an everyday kind of day, from a Yom Kadosh, a holy day. By the same token, well, you know about kashrut laws. There are utensils for milk. There are utensils for meat. There are utensils you only use at holy days. There are everyday utensils. This is a very Jewish thing to say, and it's kind of starting here. This is some of the start of the idea. You're not animals. There are things that you will create not for utilitarian or just sensual everyday purposes. This is going to smell really good. Don't use it to attract a lover. Don't use it to anoint a dead body. Don't use it just because it smells good, right? Don't sell it to make money. It's holy. It's a holy formulation. It's used for holy purposes. Keep it separate for holy purposes. And this is it's a really important idea because, I mean, these people, I don't know if they invented it. I know that in Egypt, some things were certainly kept aside as holy. Maybe every culture that had a religious tradition kept things aside as holy. It's very human to separate the sacred and the profane, right? Or the everyday. But God is definitely being very clear that we're not animals. These are ritual instruments. Pardon me. I dropped something. That these are ritual instruments and even ritual perfumes, and they're not to be used carelessly or for everyday kind of utilitarian purposes. Now I'm going to go to the Revised Standard Version, and there's not a lot I want to call your attention to in the Revised Standard Version that's different. Except I want to note line 11 in the Revised Standard Version. The Lord said to Moses, when you take the census of the people of Israel. Well, in the Geneva Bible, and you'll see in the Hebrew that we're about to read, it really doesn't say anything about a census. It's about counting for sure, but it's not a census like in the modern sense of a census. We count kind of for government purposes, or we count for administrative purposes. No, there's no census in the Hebrew. There's counting, as we'll see. But the reason I stress this is that in this passage, like in the breastplate, remember the breastplate that had almost an accounting of the lives of the children of the tribes of Israel built into it. It's much more about a relationship between Yahweh and the life choices of every single person in his family, all of his children. Meaning that this is not just about counting the children of Israel to count them. It's because each of these people is making a reconciliation, and that has a mathematical sense, right? Like you reconcile an account. But all of these people are accounting for their lives to God, right? That's what this is about. And that's very different from a census. But I guess I want to stress the counting part of it because, I will say this over and over, no one is insignificant. He's not saying count just the men, or count just the men who have more than 20 goats, or, count only the free people, or count only the children of Israel. He's not saying that. He's saying, he is saying the people of Israel. I'm sorry. But he's not saying don't count the minors, right? Don't count the women. Everyone is important. Everyone matters, right? Everyone matters. And certainly in this section, it's about counting the children of Israel and having them account for themselves, their lives to God, their creator. But I don't think, so many other passages include the stranger, the voyager, the slave, people who are not members of this ethnic community or even religious community. I don't think we should read this as not as people who are not the children of Israel not counting, right? It just happens to be this model relationship where God is saying, okay, I want you to build this house for me that I'll live in, this tent where my family will assemble. The priest who serves should wear these clothes. And now this is how I want you to bring the lives of everyone in your community to me, for me to pay attention to them, for me to reconcile with them, for them to reconcile with me. And that's a very different sense than the census, which is quite technical. The other thing is, again, in line 20, about Aaron, the RSV says, when they go into the tent of meeting or when they come near the altar to minister, meaning they, the priests, to burn an offering by fire to the Lord, they shall wash with water lest they die. And then it repeats, line 21, they shall wash their hands and their feet lest they die. And I will bet you, I haven't looked yet, but this was true in the last chapter, I will bet you the Hebrew does not say lest they die. It sounds very, very dire in the Revised Standard Version. And, again, this is the sense that I grew up with, like, oh my gosh, God is so irrational. He's just going to kill everyone who comes anywhere near him who's made a tiny mistake or omitted a tiny thing. And it doesn't say that. And the other thing I want to call your attention to, not being mean to the Roman Catholic Church, just calling attention to discrepancies. In line 32, it says about the oil. Remember, at the end, Yahweh was saying, don't use it for banal purposes. Don't use it just to smell good on a date. Don't use it to anoint a dead body. Line 32 says, line 31 says, this shall be my holy anointing oil throughout your generations. In the Revised Standard Version, it says, it shall not be poured upon the bodies of ordinary men, and you shall make no other like it in composition. It is holy, and it shall be holy to you. Well, let's really think about that. I would say mistranslation, because it doesn't say ordinary men in the Hebrew in line 32, as we will see. In the Revised Standard Version, it seems to be saying this oil, which is used to anoint priests and the altar, shall not be poured upon the bodies of ordinary men. It seems to be saying, unlike the priests who are not ordinary men, or who are made not ordinary men through the anointing. No, it doesn't say that. It has no hint of that in the Hebrew. It says nothing about ordinary men. So let's, and this is, aligned with a theme that I keep stressing, which is there are no gatekeepers between humans and God in the Hebrew. There are priests who serve, shirut, right? They perform a service, but they are clearly human beings who are being prepared with the ritual garments, the washing, the anointing, to be in God's presence, to align with God's vibe, really, God's very holy vibe, but they are not set aside forever, their whole lives, as infallible beings, mouthpieces for the will of God beyond ordinary mortals. That is not in the Hebrew. That's not what God is saying in this text. It just isn't. He's clearly saying that the priests are ordinary human beings like everyone else. Like everyone else, they are not holy in and of themselves. They have to mekadesh, holify themselves to come near him. It's not a one-time thing. They're not ordained forever and therefore holy or special. They're just people like everyone else, and everyone needs to can holyize themselves, their clothes, their hands, by washing, by prayer, by ritual, by blessings, to come close to God. Everyone can do it. It is a process available to everybody. The priest definitely has a unique role, and it's spelled out here, but it does not set the priest apart from from human beings. He is a human being, and his sons are human beings. It's a time when uncertainty looms at every point around us, and it's essential to be prepared. Being prepared is not just advisable, it's really critical. And that's where the Wellness Company's medical emergency kit comes in, that we're proud to support. Imagine having the reassurance that you're fully equipped to manage any medical emergency, whether it's as commonplace as tick bites or as daunting as the challenges posed by the latest disease of the month. The Wellness Company's medical emergency kit contains vital medications such as ivermectin, emergency antibiotics such as amoxicillin, antivirals, Z-Pak, and more. It's the ultimate solution for being prepared for whatever may be coming up. Rest assured, this kit has been very carefully crafted by the Wellness Company's team of distinguished medical professionals, which include Dr. Peter McCullough, Dr. James Thorpe, Dr. Harvey Rich, Dr. Drew Pinsky, and other dedicated, truth-seeking doctors who are all among my personal pantheons of heroes of this time. With their expertise, they've set the gold standard for safety and prevention. Don't wait till the next crisis catches you off guard. Take your health and your family's health seriously today. So click on the link below or head to dailyclouthealth.com to purchase their products. Please use the code DailyClout for 10% off. It's time to find those alternative healthcare communities that actually do care about your future. All right, now let's go to the Hebrew, shall we? And let's see, what were the lines I really wanted to look at here? I wanted to look at 30:11. Let's see what it says in the Hebrew. This is the census. So, Vayidaber, and spoke Adonai el Moshe, Yahweh, God, to Moshe, Lomar, saying, Ki tisa et rosh bnei Israel, because you will lift up the head of the children of Israel, li pekudehem, according to their numbers, ve natnu ish kofer nafsho. Now, le pekudehem does mean according to their numbers, right? But mifaked is also someone who takes responsibility. And so there's a sense of people are being enumerated, but they're also taking responsibility. Venatnu ish kofer, and each man will give kofer, as you saw before. It's the same root as kaporet, which is the mercy seat. It's translated as mercy seat. It does relate to Yom Kippur, atonement. So it could be every man will give atonement, kofer nafsho, for his soul, for his spirit, l'Adonai, to God, bip kod otam, in the counting of them, or in the accounting for them, velo yeh bahem negef bipkod otam, and there will not be a plague among them in the counting of them. So this is very different, and this keeps happening. In the Hebrew, there is no plague among them. And in the translation, it says, lest that there be no plague among them. So the English translations keep being more dire than the Hebrew original. This is really saying when everyone accounts for himself, and it's like person by person, right? And for his soul, and a koper atones for his soul, right? Sorts out whatever he did wrong to God, with God, and there will be no plague. In Hebrew, it's really saying when the community is taking responsibility, every man for himself implied every woman for herself with God, and atoning for things they did wrong, that they know they did wrong, atoning for their spirit, for the things they know weren't right, that they did, therefore there will be no plague among them. That's the sense of it, that plague, I'm not going to say you get all of this directly, but it's implied. When people are in harmony with God, the whole community is healthy. And the implication is the negative, when people don't take responsibility for themselves, when people don't account for what they may have done wrong, what they know they may have done wrong, when people don't go through that process of self-scrutiny to be reconciled with God, to be in the same vibration as God, which is a, moral vibration, then plague can enter. Then there can be plague among them. It doesn't spell out the negative, but it's kind of implied because of the end. And when everyone does this moral accounting, and there will be no plague. So it just doesn't have that vibe of English translations of, you better do this, you better really beat your breast and fall on your face and tell God what a miserable worm you are, because otherwise he will give you plague, right? That is not the sense here at all. Let me go on to lest they die, which is line 20 in the Hebrew. Let's see what it says. It's so beautiful with all the perfumes. Line 20. And let's see, it doesn't have the same line 20 and 21, the bronze basin, when they go into the tent of meeting. Yeah, they do. Okay, there we go. Line 21. Verachatsu, and they will wash, yadehem, their hands, veraglehem, and their legs. And by the way, it's hands or arms, right? Yadehem veraglehem, velo yamutu, and they are not dying, and they will not die. Vehaita lahem, and there will be to them chok olam, a law, and olam means the world, and it also means forever. Lo ul zaro, to him and to his seed, his descendants, ledorotam, for their generations. So it doesn't say lest they die. It doesn't say, and I'm quoting now from the Revised Standard Version, they shall wash their hands and feet lest they die. It's not this super scary scenario. It's saying, and they will wash their hands and feet, and they will not die. So it's really saying, because there is this sense that God seems to have, that if he doesn't prepare humans for his presence, they get overwhelmed physiologically and they die, right? So I think it's so beautiful. It's like having a parent who's kind of otherworldly and made of a different thing. And the parent is constantly saying, okay, I'm going to come into the room now, put on your sunglasses so that I don't, injure your eyes inadvertently. The vibe here is of God saying, here are the things you want to make sure that the priest does, and he will not die. He'll be clean, he'll be washed, everyone will have, accounted for themselves, and there won't be plague. He's properly dressed, he's purified himself, he's cleansed himself, and that, implies of sin and of, bad thoughts, bad feelings, and he will not die. God is not threatening death. God is making sure everyone stays alive. And it is so different. What a completely different personality. And the last thing I want to call your attention to is line 32. And this is what you do with this wonderful anointing oil, this delicious oil of holy anointment. It just sounds so wonderful. I just want to smell it. I've actually ordered frankincense and myrrh from an online distributor, and I can certainly add cinnamon. Oh, wait, no, I can't because I was told not to. Sorry, skip that. So let's see line 32. 31 and 32 says, Ve'el bnei Israel, and to the children of Israel, tidaber lomar, speak to them, saying, Shemen mishchat kodesh, the oil of holy anointment, yezeli ledorotechem. It will be thus to me for your generations. So God is saying, I always want this. I love it. I love the scent. Remember this. This is how you purify yourself. And then the next line says, Al besar adam lo yesaf u bemat kunto lo ta'asu kamohu kodeshu kodesh yelachem. So such a different sentence. Don't pour it upon besar adam, the meat of human beings. So it doesn't say what the RSV says. It says, it doesn't say it shall not be poured upon the bodies of ordinary men, as if priests are not ordinary men. No, it says don't pour it on human bodies. Don't pour it on human bodies. Use it in this ritual context. Al besar adam lo yesach ubemat kunto lo ta'asu. Don't pour it on human flesh, and according to its formula, you shall not make anything like it. And then it ends, it is holy, it shall be holy to you. And I'm going to reread that because it's so beautiful. Kodesh hu, holy it is. Kodesh yeh lachem, holy it will be to you. And again, just this idea that God keeps trying to explain, like some things, you make them holy, they're holy, it's holy, it'll be holy to you. A very important idea to God, obviously. And it repeats again in line 37. Vehaktoret asher ta'aseh, and the ketoret, it's translated as incense, but I think the ketoret also comes from the root, I need to check, keter, which means crown. But in any event, it's the incense that you will make. Ta'aseh means both make and do, in this case, make. Bemat kunta, lo ta'asu lachem kodesh tieh lecha l'Adonai. Don't make it for yourselves. Lo ta'asu lachem. Don't make it for yourselves. Kodesh tieh. It will be holy. Lecha, to you, le'Adonai. It'll be holy to you for the Lord. And again, the language just kind of aligns humans with the Lord. It's holy to you. It's holy to the Lord. And that is very different from don't. It will not be poured upon the bodies of ordinary men. It's, God is saying, don't pour it on human bodies. Use it in this ritual circumstance. It's holy. It's holy for you. It's holy for me, God. We all recognize that we're creating a holy ritual, and it involves everybody. So that's it for my reading. I really hope you're getting the sense. I really do, that God is throwing a party, right? I mean, there's really no other way to look at it. He's inviting everyone, everyone in his immediate community, for sure. All his children that he's trying to demonstrate this model relationship with. Of course, it's a model relationship for all of his human children, without question. But there's a tent of meeting where God meets human beings, and the whole congregation is invited into the tent of meeting. There's an altar where the priest makes sacrifices, and the whole community gets to be present to smell that sweet savor, going to the Lord to witness it. There's a table where there's showbread, this sanctified bread. The whole community gets to be there. And God, in 2 chapters back, created a technology with the Mishkan, the dwelling place, the ark, covered in gold with the cherubs on top, where he will speak to humans, right? And here he is saying, okay, in addition, I really want you to make this lovely formula of incense that you can burn, and I'll smell it, and it'll smell wonderful. And you can also distill it into an oil and use it to anoint the altar, use it to anoint the priest. It is holy, and it's holy to me. It's holy to you. So he's really habituating people with this idea that they can come to his party and be present. And, it's really good and important for them to prepare themselves to come to this party by, doing a moral inventory and making sure they're not angry or adulterous, or they haven't stolen something that they haven't put back, and account for themselves with God. And again, it's not in a punitive way. It's not like I want them to atone or else I'll destroy them. It's like I want them to atone so we can be closer. Hey everyone, here at Outspoken and on Daily Cloud, we delve into the intersection of politics, finance, health, and personal freedom. We never take anything at face value, and especially not from the establishment media or the establishment healthcare or banking cartels. Recently, I've discussed the impact of political upheaval on our financial markets worldwide. The divisive political machine coming out of Washington, D.C. is having a growing impact on our families, our friends, our businesses, and of course, our bank accounts. Inflation is higher than it has ever been. The cost of goods nationwide has been skyrocketing. All around the world, countries are abandoning the US dollar. It's a catastrophe. I wanted to take time to locate an economic expert to help us all understand what's really going on in our country. So I'm delighted to have been connected to Dr. Kirk Elliott. He's a deeply astute economic analyst with 2 PhDs who offers a rich perspective and actual solutions for all of us. His company, Kirk Elliott PhD Precious Metals, offers experts in economics and investments to help us protect our futures. We've got to face it. The government is not going to protect us, so we need to protect ourselves economically. I've spent some time with Dr. Elliott, and I'm excited that he's going to become a regular on my show to help all of us understand how we can best protect our money, our assets from overreaching government mandates and tyranny. Our podcasts are proud to have Kirk Elliott as one of our key sponsors. Dr. Elliott is a trusted name in investment management and wealth preservation, and I personally was very impressed with how transparent his business is in explaining to people exactly what's going to be happening with their assets. Kirk Elliott PhD specializes in helping individuals and families protect and grow their wealth with a focus on precious metals and other commodities as long-term solutions to safeguard assets against inflation, market volatility, and political instability. And again, I just want to stress, for me personally and our family, precious metals, along with other things that the government can't just snap its fingers and do away with, has seemed really, really important as things have become more and more unstable. What's been happening in our country the last few years has really taken a toll on people, and the government has no solutions. So I'm pleased that Dr. Elliott is offering solutions. I encourage you to take control of your and your family's financial future by visiting Kirk Elliott PhD's website or contacting them for a consultation. With expert guidance, individuals can build diversified portfolios that provide hedges against economic and political uncertainty, ensuring a more secure future for you and your family. So we welcome Kirk Elliott, PhD, to Outspoken and Daily Clout, and we really encourage you to go to dailycloutsilver.com and contact them there. And if you call them, say that Outspoken sent you or Daily Clout sent you. Welcome, Dr. Elliott. Right? Because if they're not in a state of alignment, of moral purity, right? And I don't mean like inhuman purity, but like human beings taking responsibility for themselves. We can't meet and be close and have a party because the sin or the thing you've done wrong that you have lied to yourself about or whatever stands in the way of us getting close. God is saying, do all these things to really like put on your best dress, right? Before this party, like do a moral inventory. Let me know if you've broken one of my commandments or several of them. Let me know. Tell me, like, be sorry. He's not saying like, tell me how awesome I am. He's saying like, check yourself out, clean it up inside and outside, and come visit me. right? And the clean it up inside and outside is so that humans can be in a state where they can connect most effectively, most completely with God and enjoy this festivity of holiness, right? But it also sounds like a lot of fun with lots of delicious smells and scents and beautiful things. Again, we talked about how God requested the art, God requested the embroidery, God requested the filigree details at the top of the Ark of the Covenant. God's requesting the myrrh and the cinnamon, these beautiful scents. I mean, this is very human-like, right? And that's why I've written an essay called "Do We Resemble God?" Maybe the artistic impulse, the way we love things that smell beautiful or that look beautiful, are kind of God's, paternity in us, right? These are godly languages. These are like God likes beauty, God likes the loveliness of his creation, the way it smells good, the gold, right? The bells, I mean, maybe the thing in us since childhood, right? Children love this stuff. That responds to that is not a human thing, but a human thing in the Venn diagram where we are children of God. All right. I hope that's helpful. Oh, interesting. System Notes says RSV is based on the Westcott Hort Greek text rather than the authorized Textus Receptus. KJV is best. That's very interesting. And that certainly explains a lot of the kind of more Greek than Hebrew concepts, like tabernacle instead of tent, right? But I know that King James Version is better, and it's certainly a great work of poetry. But again, even that was authorized by the state. This was written against the weight of the state. The people who wrote it would have been killed, and some of them were killed, actually, by the state. So I'm not saying don't read the King James Version. I'm just saying that in my assessment of the pressure of politics on these different translations, this translation, if you don't read Hebrew, obviously, this translation written by dissidents under the threat of death from the Hebrew is the most accurate that I've seen, the most pure. And that's so interesting. These are two totally different traditions, the Greek and the Hebrew, into English. And I will just say again and again, two totally different philosophies. And they are not in alignment, right? They are oppositional. And that's why, a lot of, we won't get into this now, but there was a split with Paul, right? And there are things about Greek thought processes that are anathema to Jewish and Hebraic thought processes way back, and probably vice versa. But certainly the officialness that you see in a lot of Greek and Latin into English translations isn't present in the Hebrew. And these are just two totally different civilizations. They're also different times in history, right? Like the Hebrew from which this is translated is from a desert nomadic tribe, not yet giant cities, wandering around with some sheep and goats in the desert, not yet with even a very complex social structure, right? Whereas by the time the Greeks came around, let alone the Latin, highly developed cities, armies, officials, bureaucracies, as well as completely different philosophies like Stoicism, and completely different ideas about God, including idolatry. I'm sorry, but these are totally different, right? Or a pantheon, multiple gods. So you've got to kind of see these as two different filters, and they are not in alignment. The Hebrew filter and the Hellenistic filter of thought and language do not align. They are diametrically opposed to each other. So let's see, what else do we have to say? God can't punish or reward you. It's just like electricity. If God was angry at you or happy with you, you've attributed a bit too much human traits to him. It's metaphorical language to scare you in the right direction, says Roscoe REA. I mean, I don't agree with you, Roscoe, but that's an interesting point of view, and you're an old friend, so greetings to you. Political physician MD says, Hebrew is such a beautiful language. I wish I knew how to read or speak it. It is. My goodness, it's really, as I go through this exercise, it's more than a beautiful language. It's actually a magical language, because there are things that these verbs especially do in unpacking that I don't even understand how a word can do so much. As a lifelong student of language, I don't understand it. It's got to be a metaphysical answer. And a lot of people think that Hebrew is a magical language. Okay. Contrite One says, consequences all throughout. If this is done, followed, then this will happen. Be. If this is not done, then this will be. I appreciate you sharing an earnest interest in studying the word. Thank you. You can't escape that, right? But it's all us, right? And I was reading a text that explained that when Jesus said, that which you sow socially reap, he was talking about karma. I mean, that's obviously not the perfect word for it, because that comes from Eastern religions, but definitely in the Hebrew Bible, definitely to Jesus's message, what you do is a choice, and it comes back to you, right? And it may not come back in ways that you immediately recognize, and it's not punitive, right? It's just a law of the moral universe. The choices we make determine who we are and what happens and what our circumstances are. And I think that was very profoundly indicated or hinted at in if the whole community, rosh by rosh, head by head, person by person, will align, in atonement for what he or she has done that is out of alignment with God's way, there won't be plague, right? There will be no plague. I mean, it's just like the grammar is not like, then I won't smite them with plague. It's like, then they are behaving in such a way that there won't be plague. So interesting, right? If only we understood that, which is not to suggest that someone who's ill has done it to themselves. But it is to suggest that there may be things we do to create more or less harmonious circumstances all around us, right? I mean, there may be illness we can't avoid, not our fault, but maybe the way we get through it is affected by what we've done, right? For good or ill. So political physician MD says, true pious love outweighs sarcasm. Very interesting, compelling lesson for the greater community. Very true. And Gib Mine Heart says, the Torah is known as the blueprint of creation. Fascinating. And Carolyn Carson, hello again, says, thank you, much appreciated, becoming receptive to meet God. That is a perfect note to end on, because I think that that's what this chapter is about. It's like, it really, kind of makes you think when you get ready to go to church or go to synagogue or go to mosque, are you just like dialing it in? Which I've certainly been guilty of. Oh, it's time to go to Yom Kippur, better, get dressed. And, my mind's thinking of a million other things, even if I've been fasting or whatever, technically obeying the letter of the law. God is really saying he wants something very much more profound here. He wants us to, as you put it so beautifully, Carolyn Carson, become receptive, take the steps, including introspection and accountability, inward accountability, right? It's not just external counting, it's accounting with oneself, reconciling oneself to God, becoming receptive, taking the steps to be in a state of being receptive to meet God. And God is there to be met, says this passage, in a place, with food and lovely smells and other forms of celebration. So let's stop there. Thank you so much. And remember, many of you have joined up, which is really nice. Come to Naomi Wolf Reads the Geneva Bible on Substack and become paying or free subscribers. If you can afford to pay, it's great because these videos take production and distribution and social media teams to get out there. And if you can't, mazel tov, as we say, God bless you, subscribe anyway, and you'll get all the emails. But please do go there, because that way you can get all of these in one place. And as always, please support Daily Clout. Please support my Substack Outspoken, and continue to follow me. I'm getting consistently erased once again from all social media. Dramatic drops in subscribers and followers, like overnight, thousands, whatever. And I will assume I have not become overnight particularly repellent, but rather that the algorithms are playing with us yet again. In the week that the Supreme Court decision told the White House that for now it's not illegal yet to inhibit Americans' freedom of speech. So I need you to help me keep speech free and help me keep these readings available to everyone. Thank you so much. I love you all. Take care, and I'll see you tomorrow.